Hey everybody, it's Kevin Geiger with the Oil of Rich Life, and I am so excited to share something that I've been thinking about with you, and I really hope that you'll find it memorable and maybe something that will help you in your life. So we know about the passing of George Bush Sr. and what a great man he was, no matter your political views. We know that the nation is in a time of mourning and all the ceremonies and everything that's went on since his passing. And I was thinking about the legacy that he left behind and all of the great things that he has done. Yes, there were some dark times, but the man has really left quite a legacy behind. And I just find that absolutely amazing. You see, January 15th, 1993 is an important date in my life. That's the date that my mother passed away. Now, my mother, she battled her demons like so many of us do, and unfortunately, her life ended very tragically and at an early age. And of course, I miss her. I loved her. I wasn't extremely close to my mom, but I do still miss her. But I've thought about the contrast in legacy. The legacy that my mom has left behind is raising two boys, two awesome, fantastic boys. And I know that you only probably know one of them, but I hope that you would agree that she left behind at least one great, memorable thing. So, anyway, but beyond that, she didn't leave a lot behind. And that, how tragic is that? As I mentioned, she battled her own demons and things that were just against her. And, Mary, my wife, and I were talking just, I believe it was last night, about how awesome it would be if she had some way that we could know what she was thinking and what she was feeling, in her last years, or even some friends that we could bounce things off of. But unfortunately, just the circumstances surrounding her death, it just wasn't meant to be. So I don't know some of the things that she was feeling or thinking in her last years, and how unfortunate. My mom, I remember as a kid, was like so many young women, or was excited, about life. And, we did a lot of things. But she was full of energy and full of life. And, we were involved in 4-H and rodeos and, snowmobiling and just different things. And I remember specifically a trip that we went on to Disneyland. And we went through the exhibit, I guess you'd say, of It's a Small World. And I'm sure that many of you have been there, and you take the boat ride through. Now, this has been a long time ago, so maybe they've changed it. But at that time, I was, oh boy, I think in the 8th grade, so a long time ago. But you took a boat ride through, and you saw all the characters, and what really sticks out to me is they were playing that song, It's a Small World. And for some reason, that really seemed to touch my mom. And I remember that she bought a doll that was about so high, and it was in a plastic case, and you wound it up, and it went round and round and round, and it played that song, It's a Small World. And that was just so memorable to her. And we actually had that doll on her casket at her funeral. And before the service really started, I remember that we wound it up and we played it, and it's in its case, but it's going, round and round. And it started off, at a good speed. But the thing wound down, of course, it began to go slower and slower and slower till it eventually stopped. And that was really so much like my mom's life. It started out amazing, and we did a lot of things. As time went on, and some battles that she had took control, her life really began to wind down, and it got slower and slower and slower until, unfortunately, it stopped unexpectedly. And you know what? I want my life to be different. How about you? I know you do. I know that you want your life to be different. You want to leave behind a legacy. I'm reminded of somebody I know that attended our church that passed away here recently, a friend. And she was always such an encourager. She always had a smile on her face. You know, whenever I taught from the pulpit at church, she was always there encouraging and nodding her head, and she always seemed to lift me up. And no matter how bad I flubbed it, you know, or I thought I flubbed it, she was always encouraging, always had good things to say. Now, she really faced some severe health problems, but she has left behind a legacy of people that she has touched that is absolutely amazing. We had her memorial service here recently, and the church was packed, and people had such good things to say about her, and we're going to miss her. She left behind a legacy, something positive, something that people could remember her by, that is great. It's uplifting and it's encouraging, you know. So I've thought about just the last few days these three events, you know, George Bush, my friend at church, and my mom, and how different legacies they all left. Now, chances are, if you're watching this, you're not a president. You're not going to be a president. You don't know. I don't know who this is going to reach, but you have an opportunity to leave behind something positive, something uplifting to people, something that's encouraging to people. And I want you to do that. I want you to leave behind something that people are going to remember you by, that's positive and uplifting and not negative or nothing. And you all have the ability to do that. You see, what you do today matters. It matters not only in your life, but it matters in the people's lives that are around you. If you were to leave today, people are going to miss you, and the behaviors that you do today are going to have a ripple effect, and they're going to go out and they're going to influence people around you, either good or bad. You know, we all, know what it looks like to throw a stone in a body of water and see those ripples get bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's the way your life is. The actions you take today and the things you do today are going to affect somebody tomorrow and for perhaps years to come. So I want you to really think about that. What are you doing today that's going to affect somebody tomorrow or next week or next year? You do matter. You do make a difference. I've been through some times in my life that I felt like I didn't make a difference and it didn't matter what I did, and that I was only maybe even hurting me. But you know what? I learned that my behaviors and the things that I did and the way that I lived affected a lot of people around me, even when I didn't think about it, or at least when I failed to acknowledge it. What you do today matters. And, we're coming up on a new year. Some of you are going to make some goals, some New Year's resolutions. I want you to think about that. What you want to be tomorrow, you've got to do today. That someday we make those things that someday I'll do this or someday I'll do that. Those some days never come. You've got to start today. Now, one of the things I want to share of how you can really leave a legacy for perhaps your kids, and this would have been so awesome. If my mom had done this, I would have gotten a glimpse into what she was feeling and what she was thinking, but that is to journal. You see, every morning and every night, I sit down and I take a few minutes and I write in a journal. And I know you can't read this, and that might be a good thing. But this is just the latest one that I've started. I've got another one that I totally filled up and other ones too. But what this does is I sit down and I write what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking or maybe some events that have happened to me throughout the day, and I date it and I write the time. And so my hope is that when I'm gone, that my kids will have something that they can look back on, or maybe even other people that they can look back on and they can know what I was feeling or what I was thinking or what happened to me that day. This is a record. This is a legacy that every one of you have the ability to leave behind. It's not hard. It takes some discipline. It takes a few minutes every morning and every night. Sure, there's times that I miss it. I might skip a day or two, but I really try to get back to it if I miss a morning or a night. I rarely let a day go by where I don't write something down. So it's just a thought. I hope this makes sense. And you know what? Leave me some comments. I'd love to know what you're thinking. I'd love to know, how are you planning on leaving a legacy? What are people going to remember you by? You know, the one thing that I can assure you in life that's final is death. And of course, we know taxes. You know, can't get away from those two. You know, we're all going to face death at some point in our life. So I want to encourage you to leave something good behind. Touch other people. And if you know me very well, you know that I'm big on adding value to other people, encouraging other people, lift people up every day. It's so important. And you have the ability to do that. So go do it. Leave me some comments, how you're leaving a legacy, what you think about this. I'd love to read your comments. Subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you next time. Have a great night.